Yes, you are listening to the Ready, Set, Retire radio podcast with Steve Anzuoni. My name is Jessica Forkel. Get more details on the website at fairwayfinancial.net. You know, thanks to recent changes in tax laws, and I'm talking about that, $6,000 senior deduction for those that are 65 and older, you might be in store for a higher refund. Here's Jill Schlesinger with CBS News.
Well, it's because of those new tax law provisions and a larger standard deduction. And a lot of people were withholding based on the old rules, which means they probably over withheld. So what does that mean? We saw last tax season refunds averaging over $3,100. And we could see that rise towards $3,500, maybe even $4,000, depending on your situation.
All right, so let's break this down, Steve. I mean, taxes are always, more confusing than they need to be, and then we got tax changes coming our way.
Yeah.
We could always spend that extra money. We could go buy something fun, or maybe we could sock it away for an emergency fund. But if someone wants to use it to make more of a tax impact on their retirement, tell me what they can do with it.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things you can do. I mean, personally, I like the ability to be able to, if you have grandkids, make some gift giving to them, right, for their college fund, the 529 plan, or open up that new Trump account, which allows up to $5,000 a year into it's an IRA if you don't use it for college. So it's kind of unique, right? So the 529 plan is a tax-favored plan for kids to be used mostly for schooling. And if you don't use it for schooling, then you got to pay the taxes and do all this other stuff. But with this particular plan, you could do up to $5,000 every year. And if you don't use it for schooling, it basically just becomes an IRA for their future. So it's kind of unique. It's another way to save for kids. So I think it's a great piece for those of you who are thinking maybe you want to do something for legacy planning. I have a lot of clients who are in a position, Jess, where they don't need their required minimum distribution. So that's, I guess, a good problem to have. And so what they end up doing is they'll make a special gift, if you will, to a trust. And they'll have this particular trust buy a life insurance policy, which, of course, magnifies the amount of the gift. So can you imagine taking, say, $10,000 and being able to buy, $500,000 of tax-free life insurance? It's very powerful, and it's a great legacy play because there is no taxes on it. So it's not like you have to worry about, well, I don't want to spend all my IRA because I'd like to leave something for the kids. This way here, you can, I call it guilt-free investing, Jess, because you could spend all your money and time it just right. So you spend it all, you have all the income, and when you pass away, there's another pile of money created that's all tax-free that the kids don't have to worry about paying taxes on. They don't have to take it over 10 years, none of those rules. So there's a lot we can do with refunds or tax refunds or minimum distributions than just stick it in the bank and earn 1 or 2%. So along those lines, if you want to talk to me further in my team, because I do have a team, I have a CPA I work with, I have an attorney I work with, and I have a money manager that I also work with. So we have a team here, not just me. But we can get together, we can put together the right strategy, the right fit for you, and that's what you want to do. You want to work with a team, and you want to get the right results for that money and the refunds and put it to the best use possible.
And again, if you'd like to do that, sit down with Steve and the team, put together a little tax analysis, get these tax questions answered, because, folks, listen, there's a lot of great opportunities you could take advantage of when it comes to what they call tax-favored growth. Of course, you could also create some flexibility in your retirement income as well. Start this conversation with Steve and the team today. Again, 508-552-3230. 508-552-3230. That website, fairwayfinancial.com. An article I saw recently, Steve, says there is a difference between retirement and financial freedom. So how would you define that?
Wow. Retirement and financial freedom. Well, I guess the answer is it really, again, everyone's different, right? So somebody could feel like they've got financial freedom because they have $1 million in their bank. And other people might say, that's not going to do it for me. That's not freedom to me. My definition is when you talk about retirement, It's the ability to stop working, replace that working check with your own check that's going to be there for life and give you that added peace of mind and security to know that you've got enough income and cash flow. And then if you're the type of person who likes to take a few trips a year, likes to travel, do that thing, or in my case, see the grandkids as much as I can.
Absolutely.
You've achieved it, right? That's your goal. I mean, you can't measure yourself with other people and think, oh, if I don't get to $1 million or $2 million, then I can't do this or I can't do that. Mm-hmm. So this is the fun part, really, of my job, because I love when people come in and they've worked really hard and they're sharing with me what they've saved and where it is and how it works. And then I can open up the door to conversations about, okay, what's the goal here? When you're going to retire? Well, a couple of years, Steve. Have you thought about what you're going to do in retirement? You know, because that's a big question. I don't mean financially. I mean, what are you going to do with your time? Because you're going to have a lot of time on your hands now. Think about it. At least 40 hours plus travel time. So you're talking an extra 50, 60 hours a week that you didn't have before.
Yeah.
And
wow.
How's that going to sit with your spouse, right? Hey, honey, I'm home.
All day, every day.
Yeah. You know, so it's
got to do something.
It's really different, right? So you have to look at that and say, all right, first of all, can I financially stop working? Right? Mm-hmm. That's the number one question you got to have. Because the piles of money confuse people. So when I started in this business, I didn't see as much piles as I do today, okay? Here's the reason why, Jess. Everybody had a traditional pension. So they had Social Security checks coming in. They had a pension coming in, which, again, is a lifetime guaranteed paycheck on top of Social Security. And typically, 99% of the people had no debt. Think about that.
Good for them.
A paid-for home, great cash flow from the Social Security checks, and a pension on top, plus, you know, whatever other monies. They might have had some smaller IRAs or 401ks, you know, smaller, but not like I see today. The reason I see larger 401ks today is because everybody knows that they don't have a pension anymore. Okay, not everybody, 99% of the people, right? Mm-hmm. Unless you work for the state or, you know, a county and you have a pension like that. So basically, you've got to develop your own plan. You've got to develop your own income, your own cash flow. And that's where it starts to get a little hazy, because the more people you talk to, the more answers you get. And unfortunately, it tends to confuse a lot more people because they try to do the right thing by going online to plan, right? I mean, that makes sense. You've got your savings. Mm-hmm. Let me go see how to do this. So they jump online and they hit retirement planning, and up pops 700 subjects, 3 of them having to do with retirement planning, and the other 600 and something having to do with, I don't know, something else, because that's how online gets you. It takes you down rabbit holes. So I'd like to propose that rather than do that, come see someone who's been in the business for over 35 years, who's already been through all that with his clients, okay, and myself personally years and years ago when I was trying to figure all this stuff out, and can guide you, okay, because there's no perfect right answer with this. It's all about a check. You're working right now. You have a check every week. You're not thinking about it. But when you stop working, you need a check every week. Where's it going to come from? Your 401k? Yes. Do you know if it's going to be there in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? You don't know that. That's a big, big uncertainty. So I would say meet with me, chat with me, find out about how you can come up with a plan, and not just a pile, a plan that says to you, here's when I should take my Social Security. Here's when I can create cash flow from the savings I have. Here's how to create it and make sure it's there forever. Because one of the things I run into is people saying to me, I don't want to run out of money, which, of course, is the key goal. You never want to run out of money. But people mistake that, and they say, well, I don't want to touch my principal, Jess. So it's not the same conversation. So people say to me, well, I just want to take the interest, and I got to preserve my principal. But what they really mean and what they're really trying to say is, I don't want to run out of a paycheck. Okay, that's what they're really saying. All right. So if we can show them a way to never run out of a paycheck, even by dipping into principal, that's the magic of some of the products that I have. You can dip into your principal. Matter of fact, you could dip into your principal till it's all gone, but your check is still going to be there. So that's the focus. And if we can give you a higher check than you can by, I don't know, putting it in the bank, at 2%, 3%, because I don't think 3% of $500,000 or $1 million, for that matter, is going to set you up for retirement. So we have to look at what you need. And then we have to focus on, how do we do that? How do we give you a check? How do we complete your other goals? How do we leave something to the kids if that's important too? But remember, you got to take care of yourselves first, because, Jess, if you don't take care of yourselves first, who's going to take care of you?
Again, yeah, the kids are. But again, all roping back here to the difference between retirement and financial freedom. Retirement obviously means the end of your working career. Financial freedom, really, the goal is just being able to have that flexibility to decide what your future is going to look like. And that part of that is, like you said, replacing that working check with a retirement check, having these guaranteed income options. If you have a pension, congratulations. That's going to help you have flexibility as well. And then also, as you mentioned, time. What are you going to do? How are you going to fill your time? You might say, like Steve, you love to golf, but can you golf all day, every day for 365 days a year? Probably not.
Not with my back. Or my game.
Probably not. Yes, exactly. So you want to start talking about those bucket list items or those trips or what have you. You're going to be able to fill up that time, but you got to think about it. And again, it all comes back to having that financial freedom. If you don't have the financial freedom, quite frankly, you're not going to be having the best retirement at all, because you're going to be stuck at home. You're going to be kind of tied to whatever couch you're on, because that's all you can afford.
It's going to be house rich and cash poor.
Right, exactly.
And
we want to help you avoid that.
Yeah, you want to do that. And I'm going to tell you something. I can take, no matter how much money you have, whether it's $500,000 or $5 million, I'm just telling you right now, I can take your whole financial life and put it on 2 pages and have it make sense for you. Because I've been in this so long that the key is to break it down. Here's where you're at. Here's what you're trying to do. Here's how to get there. In other words, I could put together a roadmap that's going to specifically show you, if you do these pieces, you will have this money and this income, and it will work this way. And isn't that what everybody is trying to do, is to get a roadmap so they can see exactly the plan and how it's going to unfold? You have no idea how many of my clients have called me over the years and said, Steve, this is awesome. They can understand it, they see it, they feel it, they live it, and I love that feedback. And that's what everyone wants. It doesn't have to be a 50-page complicated report. As a matter of fact, that's the worst thing in the world, is to have something where you're sitting there kind of nodding your head yes, but you really mean to say no, but you don't want to look like a dummy, so you just kind of nod up and down. And that's not what you want. You want a plan. If you're married, you need to be there with your spouse so that we can go over it together. I'm not saying, you're going to be me, you're going to understand every nuance, but you got to understand the basics of how it works. You got to put that together. And by the way, having a pile of money is not a plan. It's a good start, but it's not a plan. Remember, while you're working, you don't need the money from the savings. But when you retire, your whole situation changes. It's not about throwing the money in the plan every month. It's about, how can I take it out every month and make sure that I have a paycheck? Everything changes. But so many people, Jess, make the mistake of keeping it where it was and thinking and assuming that it's going to play a role, play out and give me a paycheck forever. And unfortunately, that's not the case in most situations. So if you want to get a better idea of where you are today and where you could be when you're ready to retire and how it will look, including the Social Security picture, the cash flow picture, the tax picture, all of it, give us a call. We'll be able to do that for you. And I'm telling you right now, I can do that in sometimes 1 page, sometimes 2 pages. And you will understand it a lot better than the 24, 30-page reports you're getting every quarter on the money that you have now. So if that makes more sense, give us a call, and I'd love to sit and chat with you about that plan and help you retire when you're ready and have the income and the money that you deserve and need to enjoy all the years of hard work when you retire. Give me a call, and I'm going to show you this retirement income blueprint that will be specific to you and where you're at today, and it could show you in the future. So if you're, I don't know, let's say you're 58 today, and you want to retire at 67. I'm going to show you where you are today, where can you be at 67, how everything's going to play out. Just like that. If you're 60, whatever it is, whether you have 1 year or 3 years to retire, I'm going to put together that plan for you. And believe me, you're going to need this blueprint. It's going to help you to figure out if you can retire at that age or whether you need to put a little bit more time in.
Get more details on the website, fairwayfinancial.net. That's fairwayfinancial.net.
Steve Anzuoni is a licensed insurance provider by the Division of Insurance and is not registered as an investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve Anzuoni, Massachusetts Insurance License 3851053. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Steve Anzuoni is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Steve Anzuoni is licensed in your state, please call 508-398-3337.